Before there were nations, before kings, empires, and armies, before crowns and parliaments and borders, there was power. Power is older than civilization. It is the original currency, the invisible hand shaping every alliance, every betrayal, every rise, and every fall. Some fear it, some chase it, some pretend it doesn't exist. But the wise, the truly wise, study power, understand it, and use it with precision. Throughout history, those who mastered these patterns rose from nothing to everything. They shaped continents, bent nations to their will, and wrote their names into the spine of history. And in The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene does not tell you stories of kindness or morality. He reveals the real mechanics of influence, the same strategies used by Louis XIV, the Sun King; Napoleon Bonaparte, the master of timing; Catherine de' Medici, the silent puppeteer; Richelieu, the architect of French power; Sun Tzu, the philosopher of war; Bismarck, the unifier of empires. This is the map of human ambition, a manual for navigating a world filled with hidden daggers, invisible hierarchies, and psychological warfare. If you seek to rise, to defend yourself, to understand people, or to avoid being manipulated, then listen carefully, because the laws you are about to hear are not just rules, they are reflections of human nature itself. Let us begin. Law 1. Never outshine the master. Power begins with protecting the ego of those above you. In the dazzling courts of France, Nicolas Fouquet made a fatal mistake. He built a palace so magnificent, threw a festival so grand, and invited so many nobles that even King Louis XIV felt overshadowed. Fouquet thought brilliance would earn him favor. Instead, it earned him a lifetime in prison. Lesson: people in power fear replacement more than anything. Your job is not to shine brighter, but to reflect their brilliance back at them. Application: never display your full talent in front of a superior. Let them feel like the sun, and you a loyal star in their orbit. Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Friends are emotional. Enemies are strategic. History is filled with kings betrayed by friends. Jealousy grows fastest among those close to you. But enemies who become allies are often more loyal, because they must prove their loyalty and protect their new reputation. Story: many rulers kept former enemies as advisors, because they worked harder, smarter, and cleaner than any friend would dare. Application: judge people by behavior, not emotions. Trust slowly. Give power only to those who benefit from being loyal. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. A visible plan is a vulnerable plan. The brilliant statesman Otto von Bismarck unified Germany by hiding his true motives behind diplomacy, silence, and misdirection. By the time Europe realized what he had done, it was too late. Lesson: humans sabotage what they can predict. What is seen can be blocked. What is hidden is unstoppable. Application: reveal nothing. Surprise everything. Success hits hardest when it is unexpected. Law 4. Always say less than necessary. The more you speak, the more you expose. Powerful people are silent people. Their calm creates tension. Their few words echo louder than the speeches of others. Story: a Chinese minister once won political battles simply by being silent. The court feared him, not because of what he said, but because they could not understand what he was thinking. Application. Use words like a blade, sharp, precise, minimal. Silence is a fortress no one can penetrate.
Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Reputation is the shadow that moves ahead of you. Roman generals often won wars before stepping onto the battlefield. Enemies feared their reputation more than their armies. Lesson. Reputation is your armor. Lose it and you lose everything. Strengthen it and doors open by themselves. Application. Destroy rumors early. Stay away from scandal. Let your name walk into the room before you do.
Power is not only built in shadows and silence. Sometimes it must blaze like fire. Because in a world overwhelmed with noise, those who remain unseen remain forgotten.
Law 6. Court attention at all costs. Visibility is survival. Invisibility is death. In Renaissance Italy, Cesare Borgia understood this better than anyone. He never entered a city quietly. He arrived with armies, flags, armor polished like silver, drums echoing through the streets. People feared him, admired him, followed him, before he even spoke. Lesson. If you do not control your image, someone else will control your narrative. Attention is not vanity, it is strategy. Application. Stand where people can see you. Make your presence felt. A silent ghost cannot lead, but a visible force cannot be ignored. But attention alone is not enough. You must learn the oldest principle of power. Use the strength of others to extend your reach. Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but take the credit. Power grows through leverage, not effort. When Thomas Edison built his empire, he had dozens of scientists working under him. They created ideas, he shaped them into innovations. History remembers the leader, not the laborer. Lesson. The world rewards the architect, not the worker. Leadership is not doing everything, it is orchestrating everything. Application. Delegate strategically. Gather talent. Guide the vision. And accept the responsibility and the credit of the final result. But true power is not in chasing people, it is in making them chase you. Law 8. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. The one who chases reveals need. The one who waits reveals strength. In ancient China, generals won wars not by running toward the enemy, but by letting the enemy run blindly toward them. They controlled terrain, food, information, and fear. The opponent had to approach them. Weakened, desperate, predictable. Lesson. When you force others to act first, you control the field. Application. Create value. Create scarcity. Become the prize people must pursue. Control begins with making others move on your terms. But even control means nothing if your victories come from arguments instead of outcomes. Law 9. Win through actions, never through argument. Words make people defend themselves. Results make them follow you. In ancient Greece, a philosopher argued endlessly with a young warrior about discipline. The warrior ignored him. So the philosopher lived the lesson. He trained hard, ate little, slept little, and became famous for his endurance. The warrior returned, humbled, and asked to be taught. Lesson. Arguments attack people's pride. Actions bypass pride altogether. Application. Show your truth. Don't argue it. People rarely change because of words, but they always respect undeniable results. But results cannot flourish in poisoned soil. To rise, you must avoid those who drain your strength. Law 10. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Misery spreads faster than fire. Kings throughout history feared the presence of the chronically unlucky, not because of superstition, but because negativity is contagious. A single miserable courtier can infect an entire palace with fear, doubt, and hesitation. Lesson: energy, good or bad, is infectious. The wrong person can sink your ship before you even see the iceberg. Application: cut ties with chronic complainers. Avoid those who only share problems, never solutions. Stay close to ambition, vision, and strength. You rise with those who rise. But surrounding yourself with strength is not enough. You must become indispensable. Law 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. If people do not need you, they leave you. Cardinal Richelieu, the most powerful man in France after the king, made himself the bridge everyone needed to cross. He understood the king's desires better than the king himself. Nobles depended on him for influence, guidance, and survival. To remove Richelieu was to lose access to power. Lesson: dependence is the quiet chain that binds others to you. If they need you, they protect you. Application: develop rare skills. Become a specialist. Offer solutions no one else can give. Make yourself essential, and no one can remove you. But sometimes power requires a softer touch, a single moment of sincerity to break down a fortress of suspicion. Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your target. A single honest move can unlock 1,000 closed doors. A clever thief once returned a wealthy merchant's lost purse. The merchant, touched by the honesty, trusted him fully. Weeks later, the thief disappeared with far more than a purse. Lesson: honesty, when used sparingly, is more powerful than deception. People are not disarmed by lies, they are disarmed by trust. Application: give small truths to hide bigger intentions. Offer small favors to win bigger opportunities. Let sincerity be a tool, not a constant habit. Power is not granted. It is negotiated, in alliances, in favors, in whispered requests behind closed doors. And those who rise understand one truth: to move people, you must move their self-interest first. Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy. People help you faster when they help themselves through you. Benjamin Franklin once needed the favor of a political rival, a man who disliked him intensely. Franklin did not plead or flatter. Instead, he asked the rival to lend him a rare book. The rival agreed. Days later, Franklin returned it with gratitude. And something unexpected happened. The rival began to like him. Why? Because the human mind justifies its actions. If I helped him, it must mean he is respectable. Franklin used psychology instead of pride and won an ally. Lesson: people respond to their gain, not your need. Application: don't say, "Please help me." Say, "This will benefit both of us," or "This strengthens your position," or "You are the only one capable of this." Appeal to ambition, not pity. But knowing what people want is not enough. To truly understand them, you must learn what they hide. Law 14. Pose as a friend, work as a spy. Information is the most valuable currency in the world. In the glittering courts of Renaissance Italy, banquets were not social events, they were intelligence missions. Servants listened behind curtains, musicians observed alliances, courtiers watched expressions, whispers, gestures. Information flowed like wine, and those who collected it ruled behind the throne. Lesson: people reveal more when they believe you are harmless. They confess their fears, desires, and secrets when relaxed. Application: ask light questions. Listen deeply. Observe behavior more than words. Let others speak, and you will know how to move them. Be friendly on the surface, strategic underneath. But information alone doesn't stop danger. Sometimes, to ensure survival, you must be absolute. Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. A defeated enemy left alive becomes a future enemy. When Emperor Qin Shi Huang unified China, he faced rebels who resisted his rule. He defeated them, but he didn't forgive. He destroyed every possibility of their return. The result? Centuries of stability. History is merciless toward those who show mercy at the wrong time. Lesson: a wounded enemy learns. A humiliated enemy grows dangerous. A half-crushed enemy returns stronger. Application: when you must end something, end it completely. A toxic partnership, a dangerous rival, a destructive habit. Cut it at the root. Decisiveness protects your future. But destruction is not the only strategy. Sometimes the most powerful move is to disappear. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. Too much presence breeds contempt. Scarcity creates value. Napoleon Bonaparte mastered this law. He did not attend every event. He did not speak at every meeting. He let absence create myth and presence create impact. When he entered a room, silence followed him like a shadow. Lesson: humans undervalue what is always available. Presence loses power when it becomes routine. Application: appear less, mean more. Speak less, impact more. Let people miss your voice before you give it to them again. Scarcity is psychological dominance. But absence alone is not enough. To maintain power, you must remain unpredictable, a storm whose shape cannot be guessed. Law 17. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Predictability is a prison others build for you. During the American Civil War, General Sherman confused his enemies by marching unpredictably. He changed direction without warning, appeared where he wasn't expected, and vanished when he seemed near. The enemy wasted armies and strategies trying to guess his next move, and collapsed from exhaustion. Lesson: when people cannot predict you, they cannot control you. Application: break routine occasionally. Act calmly, then suddenly decisive. Be warm, then distant. Let people wonder who you truly are. Uncertainty is intimidation without violence. But to remain unpredictable, you must never isolate yourself from information, movement, or people. Law 18. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. Safety behind walls is an illusion. Many Chinese emperors hid behind fortified palaces, believing walls would protect them. But isolation disconnected them from reality. They lost information, lost allies, lost visibility. And the emperor grew blind. Lesson: isolation kills awareness. It kills adaptability. It kills influence. Application: stay connected. Stay involved.
Stay informed. Walls protect your body, but suffocate your power. And now you reach a delicate law, the law that has destroyed kings, CEOs, generals, and entire empires. Knowing who you are dealing with. Law 19. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. Different people require different strategies. A polite Persian noble once endured endless insults from a general who thought him harmless. But the noble had quiet influence in the king's court. One whisper, and the general's career ended overnight. Lesson: not all enemies are equal. A quiet enemy can be more dangerous than a loud one. The wrong person, when offended, may seek revenge for years. Application: study people. Watch their reactions. Identify pride, insecurity, hidden power, or silent rage. Misreading a person is more dangerous than misreading a battlefield. And finally, in this part, learning how to preserve your freedom by refusing to be trapped in loyalties. Law 20. Do not commit to anyone. Commitment is limitation. Freedom is leverage. European kings often kept rival nations guessing. Are we allies? Are we enemies? Will we support you or your enemy? This ambiguity gave them power. Lesson: when you commit too early, you limit your options. But when others chase your alliance, you control the negotiation. Application: stay neutral when possible. Don't tie yourself to one side. Let both sides compete for your loyalty. Freedom is the foundation of power. The deeper you move into power, the more subtle the game becomes. Not every victory is taken with strength. Some are taken with an innocent smile, a simple gesture, a false weakness. Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Appear dumber than your mark. The greatest form of intelligence is pretending you have none. During World War II, British intelligence captured a German officer. Instead of interrogating him directly, they pretended to misunderstand his codes, his language, his strategies. He felt superior, and superiority made him careless. In trying to correct their mistakes, he revealed troop movements and strategic information that ended up costing Germany dearly. Lesson: when people think they are smarter than you, they relax, they brag, they reveal everything. Application: lower your brightness when needed. Act confused when you understand. Let others underestimate you. A mind that seems empty can hide the sharpest blades. But sometimes weakness can serve you more than strength. Sometimes surrender is not defeat, but transformation. Law 22. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. Retreat when you are weak. Strike when you are ready. When the legendary samurai Minamoto Yoshitsune lost a decisive battle, he refused to fight to the death like others. Instead, he retreated into the mountains. People mocked him at first, until years later he descended, stronger, wiser, invincible. His temporary surrender became the foundation of his ultimate victory. Lesson: resistance at the wrong time destroys you. Surrender buys time. Time builds strength. Application: when facing a stronger enemy or crisis, retreat calmly. Regain your power. Return when the battlefield belongs to you. Surrender is not the end. It is the hidden beginning. But once you recover, your strength must be concentrated, like the point of a spear. Law 23. Concentrate your forces. Depth wins more than breadth. Focus becomes power. Alexander the Great conquered vast empires, not by spreading his forces thin, but by channeling everything into one crushing point of attack.
Once the enemy's center broke, the rest collapsed like sand. Lesson: scattered energy is wasted energy. Focused energy is unstoppable. Application: pick one target, one mission, one obsession. Eliminate distractions. A river becomes powerful only when it narrows into a single stream. But even focus is useless if you don't understand the art of human interaction. Law 24. Play the perfect courtier. Power belongs to the elegant, the subtle, and the socially intelligent. At the court of Louis XIV, men were destroyed not by swords, but by etiquette, posture, tone, and social grace. The perfect courtier was a master of charm. He offended no one, flattered without appearing desperate, spoke without revealing too much, and listened as if every word were gold. Lesson: raw talent is not enough. Social intelligence decides who rises and who disappears quietly. Application: be pleasant, polished, attentive. Observe everything. Speak less, mean more. Power respects grace. But power is not only an influence, it is also an identity. And sometimes you must rebuild yourself entirely. Law 25. Recreate yourself. Do not accept the identity the world gives you. Create your own. Julius Caesar reinvented himself again and again. From a poor aristocrat, to a general, to a speaker, to a philosopher, to a dictator, to a legend written into eternity. He understood that identity is the greatest performance of power. Lesson: the world will try to define you. Reject their definition. Redefine yourself relentlessly until you become untouchable. Application: change your style, your habits, your inner story. Become a version of yourself that commands respect. Self-creation is self-power. But as you rise, you must protect your image from stains, even when using strategies that aren't clean. Law 26. Keep your hands clean. Appear pure. Let others dirty their hands for you. Kings rarely executed people themselves. They had executioners, so the king's image remained merciful, even when his orders were brutal. Lesson: your reputation must stay untarnished, even when the work behind the scenes is harsh. Application: let others deliver bad news. Let others enforce punishment. Protect your image at all costs, because image is influence. But image is not enough. People hunger for belief, meaning, certainty, and if you can give them that, you can command armies. Law 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a following. People want something to follow. Give them direction. Rasputin, the mystic advisor to the Russian royal family, held enormous power not because of reason, but because he fed the spiritual hunger of the court. He offered meaning. People followed. Lesson: humans crave guidance more than truth. People follow those who make them feel part of something bigger. Application: speak with confidence. Offer vision. Give people hope, purpose, transformation. Control belief, and you control behavior. But belief alone cannot move the world. To transform ideas into reality, you must enter action with a force that shocks the ground you walk on. Law 28. Enter action with boldness. Boldness is a force multiplier. When Cortez arrived in the New World, his men hesitated. The enemy was vast. So he burned his ships. Retreat became impossible. Commitment became absolute. And boldness carried them where fear could not. Lesson: bold moves bend fate. Weak moves invite defeat. Application: when you speak, Speak with certainty. When you act, act fully. When you begin, burn your ships. The world yields to the bold. Up to this point, you have learned how to influence individuals. But true power demands something greater: the ability to shape the future before it arrives. Law 29. Plan all the way to the end. The end is the compass. Without it, you drift into ruin. Napoleon Bonaparte never entered a battle without seeing the final outcome in his mind. He mapped victory, failure, betrayal, terrain, morale, every possibility. His rivals planned for tomorrow. Napoleon planned for eternity. This difference built an empire. Lesson: most people react to life. Powerful people design life. Application: before any decision, career, relationship, alliance, visualize the final chapter. Ask yourself, how does this end? If the ending is unclear, you are walking blindfolded into a minefield. But a great plan means nothing if others see how hard you work for it. True power hides effort and reveals only brilliance. Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Mastery is not just in doing, but in making it look divine. During the Italian Renaissance, the painter Raphael created masterpieces with such ease that people believed he was born with supernatural talent. They never saw the sleepless nights, the sketches, the failures. The illusion of effortlessness made him legendary. Lesson: humans worship grace, not struggle. Application: hide your grind. Show only your glory. Let success appear natural, and the world will call you gifted. But illusion is not enough. You must also learn to control the very choices people believe they have. Law 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. Freedom is most dangerous when it is real. Queen Catherine de' Medici mastered this art. When nobles fought, she gave them two choices, both leading to outcomes she desired. They believed they were deciding. She was the true decision-maker. Lesson: people resist orders. They embrace choices, even when those choices are illusions. Application: offer two paths. Both benefit you. Let people choose their own trap. Power feels softer when disguised as freedom. But controlling choices is not enough. You must learn to control dreams. Law 32. Play to people's fantasies. Facts speak to the mind. Fantasies speak to the heart. Egyptian pharaohs ruled not just with armies, but with myths. Stories of divinity, destiny, cosmic power. People obeyed because they wanted to believe. Lesson: humans crave dreams more than truth. Application: give people visions of who they want to be. Successful, loved, powerful, transformed. Offer illusions, and they will follow you voluntarily. But fantasies are useless if you don't understand what truly governs every person: their weakness. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. Every soul has a hidden pressure point. In royal courts, spies did not study strengths, they studied insecurities. One noble feared ridicule, another feared poverty. Another feared betrayal. Another hungered for admiration. Once discovered, these weaknesses became strings to pull. Lesson: people are puzzles. Find the missing piece, and the entire structure is yours. Application: observe emotional reactions. Listen to their fears. See what angers them, what excites them, what wounds them. Influence begins where vulnerability hides. But knowing others is not enough. To command respect, you must first command yourself.
Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. Respect flows to those who respect themselves. Queen Elizabeth I never begged for loyalty. She embodied dignity. In posture, speech, gesture, silence. People didn't obey her because of her crown, but because of her presence. Lesson: self-respect creates external respect. How you carry yourself becomes how the world carries you. Application: walk with intention. Speak with clarity. Hold your head high. Value yourself, and others will value you. But even self-respect is powerless if you don't master time itself, the silent battlefield where all ambition is tested. Law 35. Master the art of timing. Action has no power without the right moment. When Mehmed III prepared to conquer Constantinople, he waited years, studying weaknesses, building alliances, perfecting his timing. When he finally attacked, the city fell like a ripe fruit. Lesson: timing separates kings from corpses. Application: wait when the ground isn't ready. Strike when the conditions align. Let impatience destroy your rivals, while patience builds your empire. But even after mastering timing, you must learn one final truth. Not every battle deserves your energy. Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. Attention feeds power. Indifference starves it. When a small poet insulted Marcus Aurelius, the emperor did not respond. He simply ignored him. The poet became invisible overnight. Silence crushed him far more than anger could. Lesson: what you fight grows stronger. What you ignore fades. Application: ignore critics. Ignore envy. Ignore small enemies. Ignore distractions that do not move your destiny. Indifference is a quiet weapon, deadly, elegant, effective. People think power is built through logic, strategy, or intellect. They are wrong. Power is built through emotion, through the images you evoke, the drama you create, and the illusions you craft. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. People see before they think. Impress their eyes and you capture their minds. When Louis XIV wanted to dominate the French nobility, he didn't give long speeches. He built Versailles, a golden world of mirrors, gardens, fountains, and endless ceremony. People obeyed because they were hypnotized by the spectacle of his power. Lesson: humans are visual creatures. Emotions respond faster than reason. A powerful image can achieve what 1,000 arguments cannot. Application: craft moments that overwhelm the senses. A dramatic entrance, a symbolic gesture, a bold visual act. Power is part strategy, part theater. But no matter how strong your spectacle is, never forget this truth. Society punishes those who stand out too boldly before their time. Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. Your mind is your kingdom, protected with social camouflage. In 16th century Spain, a philosopher spoke ideas too advanced for his age. Instead of enlightenment, he earned exile. His error was not in thinking differently, but in showing it openly. Lesson: society attacks what threatens its norms. Revealing your uniqueness too soon creates enemies too early. Application: blend outwardly. Stand apart inwardly. Hide your genius behind simplicity until the right moment arrives.
Rebels who survive are those who rebel silently. But blending in does not mean staying passive. Sometimes, to understand your enemies, you must shake the waters yourself.
Law 39. Stir up waters to catch fish. The angry man reveals what the calm man hides. In the courts of medieval Europe, rivals often provoked each other with subtle insults. A single well-placed comment could ignite anger, and anger exposes secrets. One noble, blinded by fury, revealed alliances, betrayals, and future plans, all because he couldn't control his emotions. Lesson: anger destroys clarity. A person in rage speaks without filters, revealing exactly what you need to know. Application: keep your own emotions cold. Trigger emotions in others. Observe the cracks that appear. Information leaks through rage. But information and emotion mean nothing if you let others buy your loyalty with gifts.
Law 40. Despise the free lunch. What comes free often costs the most. Throughout history, kings refused free gifts from rivals, not out of pride, but out of wisdom. A free gift creates obligation, debt, guilt, and influence. Nothing is more expensive than what appears free. Lesson: free things are traps disguised as kindness. Application: pay your own way. Avoid invisible chains. Independence is priceless, and those who buy you can own you. But independence brings another danger: the shadow of a great man. If you walk into greatness without your own identity, you will be crushed by comparison. Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. Do not follow legends, replace them with your own path. Louis XVI inherited France after the reign of Louis XIV, one of the most magnificent kings in history. Louis XVI tried to imitate him, and failed. Under the weight of comparison, he collapsed, and with him the French monarchy. Lesson: when you imitate greatness, you highlight your inferiority. Application: forge your own identity. Create your own tone, your own strategy, your own legacy. The world remembers originals, not echoes. But even originals face enemies, and to break a group, you don't attack the group, you attack its center. Law 42. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will scatter. Groups collapse when their leader falls. Roman generals knew this law well. They did not fight every rebel. They targeted the leader, the mind, the voice, the spine of resistance. Once the leader fell, the rebellion dissolved by itself. Lesson: influence flows downward. Destroy the head, and the body cannot resist. Application: identify the leader, not the loudest, but the one others follow. Neutralize him, and the rest collapse effortlessly. But not every leader should be attacked. Some should be won, not through force, but through emotion. Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others. Win emotions, and actions will follow automatically. Tokugawa Ieyasu, who unified Japan, did so not only through war, but through emotional intelligence. He knew fear creates obedience, but trust creates loyalty, the stronger, deeper, and more stable form of power. Lesson: people obey rules reluctantly, but follow emotions passionately. Application: speak to people's hopes, not their fears. Offer safety, offer purpose, offer respect. Hearts are stronger chains than metal. But when emotional influence fails, you must use a psychological weapon more powerful than force: the mirror. Law 44.
Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. Imitate your enemy and watch him destroy himself. A European duke once faced a rival who mocked him publicly. Instead of retaliating, the duke mirrored the rival's tone, gestures, and insults with perfect accuracy. The rival became furious, lost control, and humiliated himself before the court. The duke didn't throw a single punch. He simply reflected the rival's ugliness back at him. Lesson: people cannot fight themselves. The mirror makes them collapse inward. Application: mirror attitude, mirror tone, mirror aggression. Let your enemy drown in the reflection of his own behavior. Power is fragile. It is not only built through action, but sustained through perception, patience, and above all, understanding the psychology of the masses. Law 45. Preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. People want change until change threatens their comfort. When the French Revolution began, the people demanded transformation, freedom, equality, justice. But the revolutionaries changed everything at once: the calendar, the religion, the laws, the culture, the symbols, even the meaning of time. People panicked, fear spread, and the revolution consumed its own heroes, leading to chaos, blood, and the rise of a dictator. Lesson: humans fear sudden change more than oppression. Application: if you introduce change, do it slowly, gradually, step by step. Make people feel that change is their idea, not your command. Great transformations are invisible. By the time people realize the world has changed, it is already too late to resist. But even if you change the world perfectly, one danger remains: appearing too perfect. Law 46. Never appear too perfect. Perfection creates envy. Envy creates enemies. Julius Caesar was brilliant, too brilliant. He was admired, loved, feared, but also envied. His perfection made others feel small, insignificant, replaceable. And in the shadows of jealousy, the knives of Rome were sharpened. Lesson: perfection isolates you. Humans connect through flaws, not through divinity. Application: show small, controlled imperfections. Let others feel superior in small things. Never remove every fault. Leave a window for others to breathe. A small flaw protects you from a fatal one. But after avoiding perfection, you must avoid something far more dangerous: exceeding your victory. Law 47. Do not go past the mark you aimed for. Learn when to stop. Success becomes poison when you drink too deeply. After conquering Persia, Alexander the Great had unmatched glory, but he wanted more. He pushed farther into India, beyond exhaustion, beyond logic, beyond the limits of his men. His army cracked, his health collapsed, and his empire shattered soon after his death. Lesson: knowing when to stop is a higher form of intelligence than ambition. Application: after a victory, pause. Secure your position. Strengthen alliances. Stop climbing when the summit is reached. The moment after victory is the moment you are most vulnerable. And now the final law. The law that ties every strategy together. The law that turns a person into a force of nature. Prepare yourself. Law 48. Assume formlessness. Water wins because it cannot be grasped. Sun Tzu wrote, "The best army is like water. It has no shape, yet it shapes all things." A rigid identity can be attacked. A fixed strategy can be predicted. A stable pattern can be broken. But fluidity, adaptability, shapelessness, these cannot be touched. Lesson: power belongs to those who evolve faster than their enemies. Application: do not attach yourself to one approach, one image, one method, one version of yourself. Be unpredictable. Be flexible. Be fluid. Be whatever the moment requires. Because what has no form cannot be defeated. In the end, power is not a crown you wear or a throne you sit upon. Power is a lens, a way of seeing the world with sharper eyes, calmer judgment, and deeper understanding. The 48 laws are not rules to follow blindly. They are reflections of human nature, patterns that repeat across empires, centuries, and generations. Some use power to build. Some use it to destroy. Some fear it. Some pretend it doesn't exist. But the wise, the truly wise, study it so they are never controlled by it. Power is a double-edged sword. Handle it with awareness, and it becomes your shield. Handle it without wisdom, and it becomes your downfall. So as you leave these laws behind, carry with you this final truth. The greatest power is not in manipulating others, but in mastering yourself. Your thoughts, your impulses, your reactions, your desires, these are the first enemies to conquer and the last empires to rule. Because in the quiet battlefield within you, where doubt fights ambition and fear fights courage, your destiny is forged. And in that battlefield, the 48th law whispers, be fluid, be adaptable, be shapeless, be the force that cannot be predicted, cannot be controlled, and cannot be broken. For the world bends to those who cannot be grasped.